Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. It's another beautiful Friday morning. My name is James Okumu, welcoming you to Lifestyle Friday right here on Family TV. We are also live on Family Radio 316. Do you have that friend? Or maybe it's your brother or your sister. Or maybe you are the one I'm talking about today. You have people who they eat and eat. People who seem like they can eat anything, but it doesn't show. They don't gain weight. I mean, they just eat whatever they want to eat, but it doesn't show in their appearance. And then there's the rest of us. Wale watu wakaa hapo nje kwa tent. It's almost like even if you just smell fries or you smell somebody cooking some nice food, you've gained half a kilogram already. And you're wondering, where did this come from? You know, sometimes when you have a friend like that, or maybe it is your spouse who's like that, or your brother, and you go somewhere like for a wedding, or you are serving a buffet somewhere, somebody looks at your plate and they look at their plate and they tell you, wacha kujifanya. Eka tu chakula ishi, because you seem to have put so little food on your plate, and this other person has got a mountain they're about to move, not by faith, but by works. And you're thinking, man, life is so unfair, yeah? Some people eat a lot and then the rest of us gain the weight. Well, today, we want to talk about your metabolism, understanding your metabolism, and how all that is affected by your metabolism. I have a very good guest who's coming in the next short while, a nutritionist who's going to be helping us understand metabolism ni nini, how does it work, and what do we need to do if you have a high metabolism or a low metabolism? Can you change it? Is it even changeable? Is it inherited? Are we born with it? We'll get to find out all those things. I'm also inviting you to be a part of this conversation. 20316 is the SMS line, and the WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. And then Mr. and Mrs. Okumu, because I know you are watching, Mutaniambia, what did you give my older brother and what did you give me? Because we are so different. Him, he eats. He doesn't gain weight. Me, oh my goodness, the fight of my life. We will have that conversation after the show. Welcome to Lifestyle Friday. My name is James Okumu. Today, we're going to be talking about our metabolism, understanding our metabolism. Wagoi, I feel your pain. Wangoi is saying, that's me. I can gain in a day, and I struggle to lose. My sister is the opposite. Anakula na hauoni mahali chakula inaenda. Well, this morning we are glad to be joined by nutritionist Kate Kibar. Kate, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to have you on board today. We need some explanation. So when we talk about metabolism, what are we talking about?
When we talk about metabolism, we're simply talking about how your cells use the food that you eat to convert it into energy.
Okay.
And energy is what is used for you to perform, for your circulatory system, for you to breathe, for you to digest food. So a part of eating, apart from getting the vitamins and minerals, you need energy into the cells, and the cells need to, and this energy is needed to keep you alive.
Okay.
So there are two types of that metabolism. And the first one is known as anabolism, where new cells are made when metabolism is happening. So it helps you grow new cells. It helps you maintain healthy tissues. Mm-hmm. And the other one is known as catabolism, where now the fat from your food and the carbohydrates are converted into energy. And this energy is the one that the anabolism metabolism uses for you to have, for your bodily functions to operate. Okay. And all this is controlled by a hormone known as insulin. We are always talking about insulin. So insulin is the one that helps in regulating this cycle of your metabolism. Mm-hmm. So when the pancreas produces insulin, this insulin quickly tries to convert that glucose into energy, so that energy is used for your bodily functions. Okay. But if you're taking too much energy, if you're taking foods that are high in this energy, the insulin will convert fast into glucose, the energy that you need, and the excess one, because you do not want to have excess glucose in your system, because now it's going to affect your body. Mm-hmm. It is converted into fat, and this fat is stored into your body as glycogen. So that is the reserved energy that you use when you're resting, when you've not eaten, so your body also has this reserve. But again, if you're eating too much carbohydrates, too much of the high sugar foods, then this energy now, the glycogen becomes fat. And when it becomes fat, now it becomes a problem to your system. And now this is associated with so many things. But in general, metabolism is when your cells convert the food you eat into energy for your functions.
Okay.
And those are the types of metabolism.
Okay, now this one I'm asking on behalf of myself and Wangoi. Wangoi, I got your back. Why is it that we have those people like my brother and Wangoi's sister who eat all they want to eat and it doesn't seem like they gain weight? And people like me and Wangoi, if we just smell fries, we've gained half a kilo. Why is life so unfair?
This has not really been, research is still going on, but it has an explanation. We have three types of metabolism.
Okay.
We have one known as the ectomorphs, and the ectomorphs are these people who, like you've said, will eat anything and won't add weight. And this is, you know them, like when a baby is born, they have like piano fingers. You know, they're tall people, they're very tall people. They grow like that, so even if they eat whatever they eat, because their metabolism is that for an ectomorph, they'll never add weight. And then now we have the endomorphs. Endomorphs is, I think, maybe me, the average people. So you're not very big, you're not very short, but they're not so very tall. And then you have the mesomorphs, and the mesomorphs are the short and stout people. So that is a type of metabolism that you may have. But there are factors that may affect your metabolism to contribute to that.
Okay.
One could be hereditary. Maybe you come from a family where both parents were obese or they're big, or you come from a family where parent, or if it is like 40%, the mother and another 40%, chances of you having a lower metabolism may be higher because of that hereditary factor. Another one would be your sex. Basically, or generally, men are meant to have a high metabolic rate than women. This is because you have more muscles. You have more lean muscles than we do. So men's, your sex also determines your metabolism. And then you have something like your age. When you're younger, and you notice this, like when a child gets sick, they actually lose weight or look weak very quickly.
Yes.
This is because their metabolism is very high and maybe they're not eating, so that happens at a very rapid state. But when you look at adults, by the time you get to age 25, you only control 5% of your aging process every decade.
Wow.
So of that metabolism every decade. So by the time you're 35, another 10%, 5% of your metabolism is dropped. So as you get older, your metabolism lowers naturally, but also your lifestyle changes may reduce it. And that's why as you become older, it becomes very difficult, especially to lose weight. And why weight is connected is that if your metabolism is low, if you're not burning what you're eating, if it's all being stored, the first sign is weight gain. Another sign is attracting lifestyle diseases like diabetes because of the insulin hormone I was talking about. And then, of course, there are certain risks of getting heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure. So that aspect of your age really matters. And that's why as you get older, it becomes very difficult to lose weight. We also have things like your physical activity as you get older as well. As much as your metabolic rate is reducing, you also don't exercise much. Maybe you become more sedentary. So all these factors combined together. And with your lifestyle, what you eat, if you're not drinking enough water, if you're not eating the right food, so you're encouraging your metabolic rate to reduce as you get older. And that's now when you find that people become fat storers instead of becoming fat burners. And when this happens, when that switch occurs, it becomes very difficult to switch this metabolism. So you feel like that's who you are. But I would like to answer your question about those people who just smell food, of course, not smell it, and add weight. It is because now their body is, you already have fatty cells. Maybe I would say that there's something known as the fatty cells theory. So you already have fatty cells within you. So it's when you lose weight, for example, if you're a big person and you're able to lose weight, you raise your metabolism and you become a smaller person, your fat cells still are there. The fat cells still remain within you. They do not go anywhere. So if you go astray a little bit, you find that because the fatty cells are already in you, that's how you are the endomorph or the ectomorph, you start gaining weight more rapidly. And there's also the family history, there could be lifestyle. But there are these lucky people who, maybe it could be connected to their thyroid. They have a high thyroidism rate, so they're not able to add weight, whatever the case. And the downside with this kind of people who decide or who think I can eat anything because maybe my metabolism is high, it is because now what they have is something known as hidden fat. This fat will still be hidden somewhere in your body because, of course, now you're not gaining weight, but there are chances of you having risks of unhealthy eating. It could be the chemicals, it could be these fat levels of high cholesterol. And that's why you have a lot of thin people are hypertensive without knowing. Because we're just shocked. In fact, research says a lot of thin people have a higher risk of getting hypertension. So it's good to watch both sides, or you need to take it all round depending on your body type or on your body size and also age and also your sex. And if you know you're someone who adds weight easily, I'm one of those people, you need then to control and watch. Maybe if it's a physical activity, become more active, and then you eat healthy foods and balance your metabolism, and it works with you because you're trying to promote that within you. But there could be also other causes that may make you have a low metabolism that may have nothing to do with you. You could be having a condition known as hypothyroidism, and that hypothyroidism just makes people add weight. So this one, you have to be treated. You have to go to of course, they identified that at the hospital. Maybe you're doing everything right and your metabolism is still low. So that one is associated with that. And for this, it can be worked on. And they can give you medication or they can remove your thyroid. It depends on how much it has affected you. There's also another disease known as the Cushing disease. And the Cushing disease is also a disease that lowers your metabolism. And this is also known. There are also other things like polycystic ovarian syndrome, if your pituitary gland is affected. So there could be diseases that are also contributing to this. But you're talking in general, if you're healthy, if you're okay, then if you're adding weight, or if you wake up, in fact, metabolism is associated with small things like low energy levels. You do not feel like exercising. You feel lethargic. You know, you eat food and you're immediately after eating, maybe right now we're having breakfast, you take your tea, bread, maybe there's a cake there or whatever, and then immediately after you get hungry. But craving and eating a lot of food throughout shows you that, again, your metabolism is being affected by the kind of carbohydrates or the fat that you're providing in this food that is quickly being converted into fat and then glycogen and then fat. And then there's a risk of, adding weight because now it's being stored all as fat because Kate keeps eating. And this is because we eat a lot of refined foods, refined sugar. And foods that lack in glucose. So if you're taking lack in fiber, so if you're taking a refined carbohydrate in the morning, let's assume you're taking something like sugar, just normal sugar you've added into your tea, your glucose levels rise immediately at that point, even if it's white bread, immediately, and there was all this jam and everything. When that happens, if your glucose levels are high, it's going to affect you. You can even die. That's why we have the diabetic coma. So what you need to do, the body now, the pancreas produces insulin that now is working hard to fight and reduce this glucose that Kate is eating with the diet that short period of time. So when glucose goes back to normal, because it is controlled and it's quick because the body is acting immediately, you get hungry again. So by 10 o'clock, I'm feeling the same thing. And what we have, maybe I take a drink that is sweetened, or I take a mandazi or more tea and bread, and then the cycle continues. It comes to that time. Yes, I'm eating fries or white ugali, depends. So the cycle continues and you end up eating, and all this is being quickly converted into fat because it cannot stay in the system. So the trick here, if you take complex carbohydrates, foods that are released slowly into glucose into your system for it to be converted into energy, it means then the body is not rushing to do anything because this glucose related. So by the time you get hungry again, when your glucose levels are low, you get hungry. So by the time you get hungry again, it's almost 10 o'clock and you're not even very hungry, so you just take an apple, and then the cycle continues like that. But it is also affected by skipping meals.
Oh.
It is breakfast time right now, and a lot of us will decide, I'm in a hurry, I need to go to the office, there's no time for breakfast. Skipping meals is one of the reasons that will make you add weight, in fact.
Really?
And all this diet you take, this is because, let's assume I've not had my breakfast this morning. So my body right now is using my stored glycogen, maybe food that I ate, and that's why I have energy. I'm talking, my brain is alert. So by the time I eat my food, maybe I'll eat at lunchtime, or eat very little at lunchtime, or maybe eat at dinner. So what your body does, there's something known as the hypothalamus. Your body is now thinking, Kate only introduces food into our system at around maybe 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yes.
There are those people who eat. So because you're eating less, the body thinks, the hypothalamus thinks that you're on a starvation mode. There's a starvation mode in this system. So what happens, every next meal you take after a long period of not eating, of starvation, is all stored as fat.
Wow.
So I'm going to have a huge meal at lunchtime because I'm very hungry. It's all fat. I eat again in the evening. It is all fat. And that's why when you look at that, that's why a lot of dieting, and you've seen this, you diet for a period, you're not eating for this period, or you eat very little, you're eating carrots and a boiled egg. Immediately after your diet, you even add more weight than you were. So now the body, by the time the hypothalamus now converts it back and knows, no, the person is providing, then you're able to maintain weight. And that is the trick. So skipping these meals really affects the way your metabolic rate works, and it also makes you either add a lot of weight immediately, or it makes you burn this energy, like we say, the catabolism, where you're supposed to burn the fat and the carbohydrates into energy, and this energy is what the anabolism uses to make new cells, to strengthen your tissues, to improve your body. And so it is a balancing effect that actually helps you have energy and keep healthy from inside.
Great. So we'll talk about, you mentioned a bit of it, but I want us to dive a bit deeper into it. Are there foods that either accelerate your metabolism? Are there foods that slow down your metabolism? You know, you've talked about processed carbohydrates and a bit more complex carbohydrates. What's the difference between those two? You'll let us know that in the next short while. I'm inviting your questions to be a part of this conversation. 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786316316. Understanding your metabolism is what we are talking about. Mulete Maswali. It is Lifestyle Friday. We are understanding our metabolism. Our guest today is nutritionist Kate Kibara. Now, Kate, a couple of questions coming through. There's one here from Mama Kimberly. Mama Kimberly is asking, is our metabolism, does it have anything to do with high blood pressure? Is it affected by blood pressure?
I think it's the other way around. It is the fact that your metabolism, we know high blood pressure is when there is pressure on the arteries. Your blood, the arteries is at a very high volume, so it makes pressure, and it makes your heart overwork. So there could be a correlation between the two, but high blood pressure is not caused by your metabolism, but there could be a relationship. When you have low metabolism, maybe you're adding weight, then that is going to affect your blood pressure.
Okay, great.
Maybe containing fat, this will affect your arteries or clog your arteries. So they both are correlated.
Okay. Another one here from Regina. Regina is asking, what about intermittent fasting? Because it seems to work on weight loss.
Now, this has been a debate for a long time about fasting. Fasting is fine. It's excellent for both spiritual growth. It's also for your system. Also the body needs a break for it to cleanse and clean. But the way you come off your fast is the most important thing. So if you're used to fasting and you know how to get off your fast well, then that's fine. But if you're not used to fasting and then you keep doing it, and I'm talking about those people who hop from one diet to another, where you're actually fasting in a way that affects what you're doing it to lose weight. So when this does not work, you jump into another. But fasting with water even helps raise your metabolism. So it is a way to giving your body a break. And then when you come off this fast, you know how to get into, can I say, high energy live foods. So if you're going to start with soup, salads, foods that are also giving you energy and helping your hypothalamus start regulating your metabolism gradually. So it's not like it is just instant where now you have changed from this, then eating these huge meals. I think when it's a gradual change, then it may work for you.
Okay. I think she's talking about
as a way of weight loss.
Okay, I think she's talking about intermittent fasting, where you have a window of a window where you eat. You have like maybe I eat within this 5 hours. After this 5 hours, I'll not eat again until the next day within the same 5 hours or 6 hours. I see a lot of people getting into that craze. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
My thoughts, if then when you're eating in this period that you're about to eat, if then you eat a healthy food, then that may not affect your weight gain or may not affect your health in a negative way. Because by this time now the body knows, or your metabolism knows, that we are not on starvation, we are eating at this time, and the food that gets in your system is the right food. So it's food that is high in energy, it's food that is provided, it's a cycle. So the body is used to that. So I think that one works well. If it works for you, but it depends with the person and how it works for you. But that one is okay. So long as during the time you're eating, you're going to eat well, you're going to eat healthy, you're going to provide foods that are high in energy, the healthiest of the healthiest, then you're working well for the system.
Okay. So if I'm getting you right, Kate, basically what you're saying is it's almost like our body has a memory in terms of our eating patterns, and it kind of adjusts for self-preservation in terms of our eating patterns. That's why you're talking about when we skip meals, it tends to store more. Is that am I understanding you right?
Yes, our bodies have a pattern, not only for eating, also for protecting you from disease. If I was taking too much of something, by the time you attract a disease, your body has really worked so hard to protect you from that.
Okay.
And when it reaches point where it's too much, that's why disease is a process. So even in the same way, when you're talking about metabolism, if you deny your food your body what to eat, and you need your basal metabolic rate, when your body still needs to burn energy when you're at rest, you need to breathe, you need to be awake. So if you're not eating, then the body switches to know that now I need to protect this system because we only get calories in the evening or every 2 days. And that's why even if someone was starving, God forbid, it takes a very long time, because now the body is using the reserved energy. Then when that one is finished, there is all the fat, then now it gets into your muscles, and now that becomes hard when the body when you're eating yourself from within.
Okay.
So I agree with you. That's the same thing I'm saying, yes.
Okay.
That the body really works with you. Whatever you provide either comes out positively or it comes as an effect to your health.
Okay. Are there foods that can quicken your metabolism? Are there foods that slow down your metabolism? And what are those kinds of foods?
I think I will start with foods that slow your metabolism. Apart from skipping meals and eating the wrong diet, having an unhealthy lifestyle, the number one food that reduces your metabolism or lowers it is simple carbohydrates. And simple carbohydrates, you know all this. When you're taking a lot of white flours, white rice, white bread, all these things, and that's what we're used to in a normal eating setting. That's what we eat all the time. And then the other aspect, and then refined carbohydrates, like I'd said earlier, they are released instantly into glucose.
Yeah.
That minute. And because it will be too much for your system, and your body you can die of too much of that. So the body works immediately. Pancreas produces insulin, it is converted into glycogen, and then because it is too much, it's being converted immediately into fat. So these simple carbohydrates really affect in terms of craving, overeating, and this reduces your metabolism. We also have eating saturated fats, and these are the wrong fats that you have in our foods. Wrong fats could be the way we take a lot of deep fried foods, you use the wrong margarine, you're adding oil, the food that you cook looks like it's saturated. Fats really reduce your metabolism as well.
Okay.
And they also affect your metabolism in the same way. Like I said, catabolism, one of the processes of your metabolism is when now this fat and the carbohydrates are converted into energy. So the same scenario. too much fat, too much fatty food in the diet is quickly converted into glycogen and then fat. And you don't want your glycogen to be converted into fat. You want it to stay as glycogen, the stored energy that is used when you're resting, because you need to do all that. And then we have junk food, or I call them dead food. We have foods that do not contain any energy in them. They're just chemicals and high sugars, a lot of salt, and a lot of... It's not something that is feeding that cell when you're talking about an anabolism. So it's not making new cells. It's not helping you maintain your body tissue. It's just chemicals or non-food that you're putting in your system. So the only thing that comes out of this junk food anyway, the dead food, is only fat, sugar, salt, and that's what we see. A lot of that and the chemicals that are added. So you're not helping that cell, you're not helping your metabolism in any way. So I would say those are the three main aspects: the simple sugar, saturated fats, and junk food that will affect your metabolism. But you also have other factors like too much stress. Stress affects us in every way. And we've been told 45 seconds of stress, your whole body becomes acidic. When your whole body is acidic, it collects fat from your system, and this fat is also coming from your diet to protect especially your special organs. And then one of the special organs, it's the heart, so it coats the heart. That's why when you can see when the heart is coated like that, then there's a problem. The other problem that we have is, I've already talked about skipping meals or getting into yo-yo diets that will affect your metabolism. And then you also have things like dehydration, when you're not drinking enough water. In fact, water is number one source of life energy. It's going to give you energy immediately. Water is excellent. And the other thing that also will affect your metabolism is no physical activity. Sedentary lifestyle. Remember, you need muscles. I had talked about age and sex. Your muscle mass also determines the amount of fat or the amount of calories that you're going to burn. And only happens when you build a lot of lean muscles. So men have more lean muscles than women. So you need to be physically active to ensure that your muscles are there, so that they're also converting this energy, food, into energy. So lack of a sedentary lifestyle actually affects even much more like the diet. And also, as you age, your metabolism reduces by 5% every decade. So if you're not exercising and you don't have even enough lean muscles, then you don't have anywhere where these calories are being burned or converted back into energy. But there are things you can do. There are other factors that may not be because of you. You could be having a hormonal imbalance. I talked about diseases earlier. You could also be having a hormonal imbalance that needs to be checked. You could also be on certain medication, and the medication may be affecting either your thyroidism, your thyroid, or it could be affecting your metabolism. And the other one could be just the diet in general. So I think those are the main factors, or the contributory factors, that affect your metabolism. And the trick is that you need to raise your basal metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is what you burn when you're resting. So what you're burning as you're resting to breathe for energy, that rate needs to be a little bit higher. Then it is combined with your physical activity so that you become a fat burner. And small things that you can change in your diet. Number one is to eat frequently. Small, frequent, like we always say. Do not wait for jioni. That's when you're eating your whole plate. Dinner, because chances of all that food being converted into fat is very high, and especially if it was unhealthy food. So it's good to do not skip meals. So you're spacing out your calories. And then which type of foods are the best? I'll start with proteins, because again, the body needs to build itself. Bodybuilding foods are protein. For this case, it is good to avoid too much red meat. It is good to take the lean cuts of meat. Take your fish and chicken. Also, fish, chicken, or white meat is quickly digested. I've forgotten to mention that fiber also is very important in raising your metabolism, both insoluble and soluble fiber. Unfortunately, animal protein has very little fiber. So if you're not combining with fruits and veg, if you're not combining your diet such that your plate also has some vegetables, then it may take longer to digest. So white meat is the best. Take the lean cuts and take the correct size. Why also protein is important, for you to digest protein, there's something known as the thermic effect of food. You're using energy to digest that protein. So you're also okay, so lean protein, animal protein is excellent for this. So it is advisable to take the right portion, and you cook it well. You can bake, you can boil, you can grill instead of deep frying and all that, because you're also trying to reduce the saturated fat.
Yes.
And then the other one, the other one is to include a lot of fruits and veg in your diet. And this is something that is always said. And there are a couple of factors why you need fruit and veg. One, some minerals or some vitamins, minerals that help in raising your metabolism is zinc, iron, and selenium. Selenium is and all these three minerals are found especially in fruit and veg, and some whole grains and whole meal. So when you combine your diet such that iron comes from things like any dark green leafy veg will give you iron, or any animal protein will give you iron. And iron, like I said, is known to help with the thyroid function as well. So it's also known to be associated in raising your metabolism. So having a plate that has like a minimum of 4 colors when it comes to your veg, that really happens, and also that really helps. And also you're adding fiber, because now the foods, these veggies have the fiber that will help. They act as a broom, the insoluble fiber, and removes all the waste from your system. So there's nothing logging on, there's nothing sticking into your system.
Okay.
And then another thing they contain is the phytochemicals, of course, the healing property. Like I said, in anabolism, your cells you make new cells. So you also need the nutrients from your veg and fruits and the protein to make these new cells, and also to maintain your tissue.
Okay.
Another thing about the veggies and fruit and veg, they're live foods. They're not, you have not cooked them, they're not dead. So they give that, I don't know if to call it megahertz in a way, they give your body that live also, because now as soon as it gets into the cell knows what to do with it. And they're also low in calories, which is very important, because you're also looking for low caloric food so that you don't have too much calories that are converted into fat. And they're also filling. So it's a trick of having 4 different veg on your plate.
Okay.
A salad, and then you're also taking your 3 to 4 portions of your fruit throughout the day, and that really helps. And then the other one,
there's a question on the whole aspect of food. This is a question from Miracle, all the way in Kisumu. She wants to find out the healthy format of eating, in terms of what time should we eat more, what time should we eat less, because we have this way that we have been cultured. Many of us, breakfast is not very important. You know, you have your cup of tea there and your 2 slices of bread or your porridge. You know, some of us don't have time for lunch, and then dinner ndio tunaambia mwili pole, tunabonda raha. So she's wondering what's really the most healthy format in terms of our meals.
But that's an excellent question, because the way we eat, like you've said, less in the morning, as the day goes on, that's when we eat more. You affect your metabolism 100%. You need to eat more when you wake up in the morning. When you're resting, when you're sleeping, your metabolism is also resting, or your body is at rest. So when you wake up, to jumpstart your metabolism, and this is the time you're supposed to eat the most. So you're eating your protein, you're taking your vitamins and minerals from your fruits. You also need protein, you're taking your healthy carbohydrate. So then by the time it gets to lunchtime, you're eating less. You should eat the least during dinner. And it's also advised a lot of concentrated carbohydrates at night. So you reduce, not the other way around.
Yeah.
You eat less as the day goes. Okay.
Another interesting question here. This individual is asking, how can I reduce belly fat?
Yeah, a lot of people ask about spot reduction.
Yes.
You know, when you want to get, that's the spot that you start. Unfortunately, it's the most difficult area to lose weight. This is because when you start adding weight, your body distributes the weight depending on your body type. And most people, of course, there's so much space in your abdominal cavity. That's why you retain fat there. The thing is, you need to change your diet, and then you need to exercise. You have to build all your muscle, because you cannot build just the stomach muscle and then it works there. You build all the muscle, and then the fat needs to burn evenly. But you can do specific exercises that will also help reduce the belly fat. So it could be sit-ups, it could be crouches, I don't know. But it's an all-round thing, not just targeting the stomach alone. But like I'd like to say, it really takes time to shift that belly fat if the lifestyle is not changed, or if someone does not become very strict to ensure that whatever they are following or their willpower is very strong, and they're going to do it for a long period of time, so that all the muscles in the body are built, and then these muscles are burning the fat evenly. So even the fat in the belly also reduces gradually and with time.
Talk to us a bit about metabolism in children. And this is because I think it was it just yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, going back home, so I see this child, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, as in she was seriously overweight. Seriously. Looking at her, she was probably not more than 12 years old, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what are we doing to our children? So what can you tell us about metabolism and our children?
Yeah, this has become a concern, because even a lot of research that is going on, we have a lot of kids right now with diabetes type 2, not the one that you're with. We have a lot of kids right now in Kenya who are obese. It's because they have changed their lifestyle. Okay. They have by the time as they were growing up, it's very important, the first 5 years, 10 years, for a child to be, it's like you're building the building blocks. So whatever the child is exposed to or given at that time really affects their system. Children right now are sedentary. It's PlayStation and maybe TV and things on phones. So they have become docile, they have become sedentary, they sit in the house. The food as well that the children are being fed, you can even order online, Yeah. So their lifestyles have changed, maybe from having physically active children and children who eat healthy, to sedentary kids and kids who eat or prefer, or they're given what they want. So as parents, we need to watch out, include healthy meals. They need to spoil themselves once in a while, that is fine, but ensure that healthy meals are included. And then if you see that your child is tending to add weight, maybe you can include other physical activities. Maybe right now in the estates, kids don't play out anymore, I don't know. But the child can join maybe a game they like, football, tennis, or swimming, or make it a family activity. Just make the child to be more physically active so that you control it before it gets out of hand. Okay. I can see our time is almost up. We have like about 2 minutes. What would your parting shot be to us today? My parting shot would be, when you're looking at your metabolism, you do not just focus on that aspect. Look at your overall health. It's about eating healthy throughout. Yeah. And if you eat healthy throughout, if you maintain healthy weight, if you're doing the right things, then it becomes very easy that all your other systems in the body are working well. So it's not like you're just focusing on the metabolism. You're focusing on doing the right things. I'm drinking water, I'm eating healthy foods here and there, I'm spoiling myself once in a while. And that really helps in raising your metabolism. But if you find that you have tried to lose weight or gain weight and it's not happening, that's when then you work with your physician. It could be other factors that are affecting. But generally, just keep healthy, eat well, focus on improving your metabolism for you to be able to have more energy. It's not even more for losing weight, more energy, feeling good, you're active, and you can do a lot of things that maybe are pulling you down because of extra weight that may affect you. Okay, wow, great. Kate Kiba, thank you so much for availing yourself to be a part of Lifestyle Friday. I believe we've gotten something that we can think about and some information that we can begin to implement in our lives. Asante sana. Thank you too. Okay, now we need to talk about our mind. Remember, every Friday on Lifestyle Friday, we usually have our interview, and then we also have our segment with Professor Ndetei, Food for Thought. That's what's coming up next. We have been looking at the whole issue of suicide, and we continue along that thought. So here is Professor Ndetei with Food for Thought.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetei.
A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning. Welcome to another segment of Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been looking at the whole issue of suicide, and we are still continuing on that whole thread because information is power. And sometimes when we talk about mental health issues, there's a lot of stigma that's associated with it. But you know what? The more knowledge you gain about something, the less the stigma becomes. And when you gain understanding, then you're able to help those who are going through this kind of issues. So, Professor, it's good to have you back again. Professor, I was just wondering, there are those people who have attempted suicide several times. You know, I've had stories of people who attempted suicide 3 or 4 times and they didn't succeed until they came to a place where they decided, God does not want me to die. I've tried 4 times and I've not succeeded. I'm just wondering, what frame of mind is that kind of a person in to attempt to kill themselves more than once and they keep failing?
Well, I think the most important, if you get that kind of a person, make sure that you are very careful the way you talk to him.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to give him ideas on what is effective. Because if they took something that was effective, then they would have died a long time ago.
Yeah.
So one case where we want to put that information away. And if they feel that they have tried several times and God doesn't want them to die, so say, yes, of course, maybe God didn't want you to die. Can we talk about other things? Because God wants you to live.
Yes.
A good example was a young man who takes some medicine. I am not going to mention them. I don't want to give anybody ideas. And he came and he woke up in the morning and he thought he would find himself in hell. He found himself on his bed. And he repeated again and repeated again, and it was not working. And then that's when he decided to open up and say what was happening.
Yeah.
I think that's where that's a kind of knowledge we don't want patients to know. Although we want the relatives to know that this and that can be very, very. There are certain medicines you take and they are very effective. You take them in adequate doses.
Okay.
So yes, there are times when it happens that way, and there are even people who jump from heights and they don't die.
Yeah.
There are even people who hang themselves and the rope
snaps.
does not fall. Yeah, it does not snap. And yes, the rope. Or take poison, it doesn't seem to work. Or take poison and then their system is such that they throw it out and they don't die. So if you get that kind of person who has repeatedly done that and has got all the characteristics of somebody who wants to keep suicide, this is an emergency. You want to treat them and treat them effectively as fast as possible, but also very important to involve a family so that they know exactly what is going on with that person. You cannot treat suicide in absence for the people who care for those people.
Yeah.
And that is a family, the relatives. Involve them so that they also participate. And I think you made a very important remark when you are opening this session. Many people have problems with some of these conditions because they do not have the knowledge.
Yeah.
And we now know, and I tend to talk from science, we now know that if you increase awareness, people begin to understand what is happening. And they begin to understand there's a different way of doing things.
Yes.
If you increase awareness, they know that you'll be surprised that the stigma goes away. Because the explanatory model, this is a medical condition, or this is, they are not, it's not happening the way it is happening, the way they are feeling because God has forsaken them, or because they have been bewitched. So increasing knowledge is very, very important. It's critical. And it's the best way to reduce stigma. And we do know now, and I don't have a graph here, if you have people without knowledge, they tend to be more unhealthy, or tend to develop complications more than the people who have an awareness. It's like awareness shifts the risk of an illness, or some illness, towards a better way of or delaying the onset of that illness.
Yeah.
So awareness, if we all speak like the way we are speaking and use awareness, I think we can make tremendous difference. Awareness is very important.
Okay. What about those people who attempted suicide and it left them with injuries that now become part of who they are, like somebody who tried to jump over a building and now they are a cripple, or somebody who took poison and it ended up damaging their digestive system, so it becomes something they have to live with? How do you help people like those? How do you walk with them? Because it's almost like now they're in a place of regret. Why did I even try it? Now my life is even worse. How do you help somebody like that?
It's a tragedy, a very serious tragedy. And therefore, the importance, as I said a little bit earlier, to confront these people. Because if you confront a person who was trying to kill themselves,
yes,
or by whatever means, taking medicines or jumping from some height, and you prevent that attempt, that would have been was going to be unsuccessful anyway. It was not going to be fatal. It was not going to kill them. They were not going to be successful. We called failed suicidal attempt. Remember the other one? I called it accidental suicide.
Yes.
Now I'm talking about failed suicidal attempt. Can you imagine the pain these people go through in terms of the physical deformities? If they set themselves on fire, the scars which are going to live with them for a long time.
Yeah.
Or damaged stomach, we call it in very simple language, gastrointestinal system, guarded in the stomach. So it just tells you and I that prevention is always better than cure. But if that happens, you have a more complicated task. You have to deal with families, you have to talk to them, you have to talk to them in a way that you do not blame them for what they did.
Okay.
Very, very, very important for all of us to know. Don't blame, don't put personal responsibility on people who attempt suicide, whether they are successful or not, and don't put personal responsibility. Please understand this. A person who is suicidal, who is planning to kill themselves, can you imagine the pain and the confusion that is going on in the mind of that person?
Yes.
Compare it with a person who has got a chronic condition, which has high chance of killing them. They do all their best to get the best treatment that they can get. So they do not want to die. So what I'm trying to say is the pain of a person who is suicidal far exceeds the pain of a person who has got a chronic condition, but is still determined to live on. So please, these people, if you look at it that way, you begin to understand why they go the way they want to go.
Okay.
Suicide is painful.
Okay. Does the law say anything about people who attempt suicide and they don't succeed? You know, I remember back in the day we used to be told that if you attempt suicide and you don't succeed, you will be put in prison. I don't know if there's anything in the law concerning those who attempt suicide and they don't succeed.
I think that thing, yes, used to be in law. And I do remember as a trainee in psychiatry here in Nairobi, we used to see those cases. People who had attempted suicide and they did not succeed, and they were actually brought to us from prisons services so that we can get them right, so that they can go and stand trial. Wow. And I do remember a very famous statement by a magistrate I'm not going to name. Now I think we've grown up and we occupy a very senior position. I can't mention the name. Towards the person, I want you to know, and maybe sometimes you pastors do that, with a life that I want you to know that life you have is not yours, it belongs to God, and you are not going to take it away from you, and for that we give you this kind of sentence. I think we have moved a long way. I don't know whether that clause has been moved from the law in the new constitution, but if it hasn't, it is redundant, it's just old, and it should be removed.
Yes.
The law say in UK where I trade, anybody who makes an attempt on his life, the law requires that is seen by a social worker, a psychologist, and there are psychiatrists there, which we don't have enough of here. The law requires that they go out of their way to help them, not to condemn them.
Okay. Yeah, because they do need help.
That's how it should be in this country.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Professor Ndete, and giving us insights into suicide. Now, we'll pick up on this conversation on the next episode, so look out for that next week on Friday, right here on Jam 316 Lifestyle Friday. Have a good day.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.